I was inspired to become a school social worker by many things, but largely because of my experience in high school. I became a teen mother. And when I went to my counselors and the people in my building for resources, I was told that I should just focus on having the baby and being a mother. And so I met so many obstacles trying to get fee waivers and information about schools and scholarships. And so I was wondering, like who was it that I could talk to? Where could I go in the school building to help me get the things that I needed as it pertains to furthering my education and moving further. So as I went on to college, I knew that I wanted to be in the helping profession. I was interested in mental health, mental well-being, and in professions that would help my community.
I come from a family of educators, so just always used to being around people and just helping people. My mom was a teacher for 30 years. My brother was a college professor, so I knew I wanted to work in an educational setting. So I went to school and got my undergrad in psychology because I knew helping people had a lot to do with how they thought and a lot with their behavior. So I had to figure out how do I get into the school system. And so uh, someone told me about social work, and I didn't know anything about social work outside of defects. And so once I saw it was a way to be able to work in the school system and help people and not be confined to a classroom, it really piqued my interest.
Being an American Muslim, I already know I bring a diverse approach. And recognizing my own challenges when I was in school and being the odd one out, feeling like I don't fully belong, but I need to have my own voice. And recognizing this as a strength now while working with students from elementary, middle, or high school backgrounds. And I feel like I'm the voice that brings everyone together, especially when it comes to understanding everyone's point of view. And we have a lot of students who don't have a voice, and being able to speak with students and to encourage them, it starts with me.
So as an African American male social worker, I love the fact that I can be present for people that look like me. And that was very important throughout my journey. There was always someone who looked like me. And so for me, I'm able to really relate to our young African American males in a way that a lot of other people can't, just because I come from a similar cut. I deal with the same stereotypes in the world looking at me in a certain way. And so a lot of times, what I've discovered, the populations that most people don't want to deal with, those students who get into a lot of trouble, who may be behavioral issues, those are the ones that I actually love to work with because I can really relate to them. And I know how important it is for them to be able to see someone that looks like them, to really appreciate that over the years. Just being able to provide a unique presence, a unique energy, and a unique perspective.
So one of the profound things that I encountered during this practice was working with a 19-year-old student. This student was having issues with his grandfather, and he became homeless. And this was in the second semester of our school year. And just working with the student, he didn't know if he was going to graduate or what was going to happen to him after graduation. So there was a team of myself and administrators and others, and we worked together to get this student into an alternative graduation setting and an alternative program. He was able to graduate, also getting a scholarship and going into Job Corps. He's currently in Job Corps where he's getting a trade, he's getting his education.
One of the most profound situation incidents in my career is when I, as a beginning school social worker, on the job 1 month, and Hurricane Katrina hit. And we had an influx of students and families who were displaced, who were seeking refuge. And Clayton County had a large number of families to come into the district from New Orleans. And so it was total chaos. But it made us look at social work and school social work specifically in a different way, because we had to be able to come up with and go back to that ground roots mentality. We were out doing food drives, we were out doing collecting goods, but we were also providing mental health resources and supports for the trauma that these families experienced. Some of them were left on bridges and separated from family members, so we had to deal with the trauma along with the behaviors that came.
Some of the most common misconceptions that people have against social workers are believing that they're there out to hurt them. In my very first school social work paid position that I received, I noticed that one of my principals, the first thing he said when he met me was that, "Hey, it's nice to meet you. You're a beautiful young lady. I've read your resume and everything, but I don't want you in my building." And I stopped him and I said, "You don't want me in your building? Why?" And he said, "I don't want you in my building because that means I have a problem."
When they hear social work, I've noticed that a lot of people become afraid, a lot of people become uncomfortable, and most people that I deal with daily think, "Oh, she's here to take my children." Absolutely not. I'm here to provide you with those services.
Another big misconception is that we're out to get you. Like, we're out to shame you for the decisions that you've made. We're trying to, blow up your shortcomings or the mistakes that you've made. And we're really not coming in to say, "Oh, you're such a horrible parent." It's like, "Oh, how could you do that?" And so I think a lot of people think because we come to try to correct situations that we want to shame and make you feel guilty for some of the decisions that you've made. And we've all made some of those same mistakes and decisions. So I would say the biggest misconception is that we're coming to expose your shortcomings and the mistakes that you've made. And that's not the case. At the end of the day, we just really want to help support you, your family, and your child, and help you all move from whatever situation you may be in now. Just help you move from there to that next place where you're trying to get.
One of the things that I have gained from becoming a member of SWAG is the camaraderie between the social workers between the different districts, and being able to experience the difference between what the rural school social workers face versus those in the suburban area versus those in the city area. Noticing how resources are shared and how some have and some don't have. And another thing that SWAG has taught me is that the importance of advocacy, but not just advocacy in your buildings, but advocacy on the bigger level. And it has led me to become more interested in the government and how the legislators play an important part, because as school social workers, we always get, "Well, people don't know what you do," and we're not written into a lot of things as far as education is concerned. So one of the things that I want to do in my advocacy is to make sure that we are written in those laws, and in when they're looking at raises and when they're looking at who are essential workers in education, I want to make sure that school social worker is at the top of the list.
Joining SWAG has been beneficial for me. I started off as a member back in 2020, and now being the state secretary for SWAG, it's brought me so many more opportunities to provide trainings. My hope is that I can provide trainings in my school setting, become a bigger part of the SWAG network, and contribute to other school social workers, as the goal is to have new incoming school social workers be a part of our SWAG community.
How has SWAG helped me personally and professionally? I'll just say the old adage, "It takes a village to raise a child." It takes a village to raise up a social worker too. And SWAG has been that village for me. When I came out of school and started working professionally, I didn't know much about social work other than what we were taught in the classroom. And so my supervisor, the first thing that he wanted me to do is like, "I need you to get involved with SWAG, our state organization." And he really pushed me out there outside of my comfort zone. He was just like, "I want you to get involved." And so just being a part of SWAG has provided a safe place for me to grow. It's provided a safe place for me to make mistakes. It's provided a place for me to get advice from people who have like way more experience than I do. And SWAG also is a place where you can try things. Like, I've been a legislative chair, have had no experience with that. I'm the webmaster now. had no prior experience with that. I planned a conference. And so it just gives you a safe place to try things. And if you don't succeed or if you mess up, it's okay, because you know that your fellow social workers, they're going to always support you. They're going to always have your back, and they're going to do what they can to help make you successful in whatever you do, personally or professionally.
So if you are a school social worker in Georgia, I encourage you to join our organization, School Social Workers Association of Georgia, and become a part of a team where we collaborate and change lives.